PayPal and Venmo are American payment processors. And because of the American government's sanctions on Cuba, if you are a Greek citizen, okay, talking to an Italian citizen, and you go out to dinner, you order Cuba Libre, okay, and you pay for it on PayPal, and you write Cuba Libre on the PayPal or on the Venmo transaction, both of your accounts will get banned. Both of your accounts will get banned. How is that normal? Yeah. If you put Cuba on a wire transaction, they close your whole account at Chase. Used to deal with it all the time as a translator over the phone. Yeah. How insane. You've never heard of this before. You never knew about this. One must ask the question, why you've never heard about this? Thanks for your continued coverage on Cuba. Latinos grow up watching Telemundo and Univision and are taught that the common Cubans are evil. It's sick what we're doing to our brothers and sisters on the island. Thank you for your support. Hopefully one day we can see their great potential. I don't think everyone is like this, though, because there's so much solidarity amongst Latin American countries, both for Cuba. It's actually unbearable that the American government, led by Marco Rubio, has actively sought to eradicate the medical missions that Cuba engages in Caribbean countries, in Latin American countries. It's unfucking believable that they've done this. I also got to see my friend, for the record, okay? I got to see my friend that I had interviewed, if you guys recall, a long time ago, who had actually done these medical missions, okay? Let me see if I can pull it. Hold on. Yeah, Dr. Jose Armando Arronte. He is the he is in the Cuban Health Ministry. He works in the Cuban Health Ministry. He was, if you remember, we had a conversation online when Marco Rubio first wanted to stop these medical missions from happening, and he was so sad. I mean, he was so excited to see me in Cuba because he had invited me to Cuba, if you remember. And he was so happy to see that I was finally visiting Cuba. But he was so sad that these medical missions were being stopped by Marco Rubio. And he wasn't sad because, oh, now, Cuban doctors can't go and work these medical missions and generate income for the country in some ways, right? Because that's the argument against it. But he was sad that in places like Jamaica, where these medical missions operate, the population don't have access to any other kind of healthcare. It's the Cuban medical missions that offer these people, these underserved communities, the only version of healthcare that they ever see. And Marco Rubio has ripped that system apart. Unbelievable. Another way that our violent desires, our violent design harms others. And not only does it harm others, it harms us as well. I talked to, as I said before, Dr. Mitchell Valdez Sosa. Okay, Dr. Mitchell Valdez Sosa is one of the top neuroscientists, not only in Cuba, but around the world. Him and his twin brother are both neuroscientists. He's 75 years old. Incredible man. He explained to me how Fidel Castro was able to greatly increase the literacy rate piece by piece, first up until the 6th grade, then up until college. He's a massively accomplished scientist, okay? A tremendous guy, and has stories for days. I could have talked to him for hours, okay? And, I mean, you can look at his work here as well on Google Scholar. He is an incredibly accomplished scholar, an academic, and a scientist, a researcher. Now, Dr. Michelle Valdez Sosa has been able to do the unthinkable. Cuba has been able to create the only functioning Alzheimer's and dementia treatment on the planet. The only functioning Alzheimer's and dementia treatment. Every other Alzheimer's and dementia treatment that has been put together so far has led to nothing. There was a very famous case in America that the Alzheimer's and dementia treatment that they thought they had actually achieved was a dud. Right? It was a dud. Yes, I interviewed him. And they have it. They have it. Medical trials took place in Cuba, and now there's additional medical trials taking place in Canada. But just like the lung cancer vaccine that Cuba was able to create in the 90s, mind you. Okay, yeah, Neuralsim is the one we're talking about. And I cannot believe that they put the context note on this. Look, NeuroEpo claims to rely on a single trial from Cuba without independent replication. The researchers themselves acknowledge that larger trials are needed. The phase 2 trial in Canada is ongoing, and wider adoption awaits phase 3 confirmation. They're literally like the propaganda machine goes brrr, the entire time. It's unbelievable. Cuba had a lung cancer vaccine in the 90s. How many people have died of lung cancer in the process? How is this attitude anything but better dead than red? It's through the communist system that they were able to put the interests of the people over the interests of profit. And you can't have that because innovation must only come from capitalism. Okay? Innovation must only come from capitalism. If it comes from a communist country, that undermines the argument. That undermines the argument in spectacular fashion, doesn't it? The very fact that they are able to accomplish these incredibly impressive leaps in the field of medicine to save people's lives, no matter where they come from. Your grandparents, people like myself as well. All of my grandparents died from Alzheimer's. I'm going to get Alzheimer's. Okay? My father has a diabetic ulcer on his foot. Dr. Mitchell told me they have a cure for diabetic ulcer in Cuba. The fact that America stops pharmaceutical companies from actually mass distributing this stuff, even for profit, is insane. It's completely insane. It's unacceptable. Now think about how they've been able to do all of this while they are shackled every step of the way. While they're shackled every step of the way by these ridiculous sanctions. Think about the unlimited potential that could exist if we did not try to disrupt their academic process and their research every step of the way, and then even stop them from mass distributing these vaccines, these treatments. America engaged in vaccine hesitancy around the Cuban vaccine that they were forced to implement, basically. Cuba made its own COVID vaccine, for those of you who don't know. And the reason for why they had to make their own COVID vaccine is because Alibaba founder, Jack Ma, tried to send Sinovacs to the island during COVID. America intercepted that. They stopped that from happening. America also simultaneously created vaccine hesitancy through a PSYOP campaign in the Philippines because they thought China is doing soft power initiatives in the Philippines. They're sending Sinovacs there. And now the Filipino population has a tremendous setback, and a lot of Filipinos have vaccine hesitancy. We know this because the American government openly revealed it, by the way. They spent millions of dollars creating misinformation and PSYOP campaigns in the Philippines because they wanted people not to take the Chinese vaccine. It worked. America did this in Latin America as well. Yeah, Cuba, U.S. embargo blocks coronavirus aid shipment from Asia. So the Cubans said, we'll make our own. And they did. And then they started distributing it to all of the other Latin American countries that the United States was, refusing to send this vaccine to. Right? And it's unfucking believable. But they did the same misinfo campaign in Latin America as well. Don't take the Cuban vaccine. The communist vaccine. It's nothing. It's not real. It doesn't work. It's unfucking believable. It's unbelievable, dude. Just correct a bit of what you're saying. There are now in Buffalo, New York, and at Roswell trials going on with this lung cancer vaccine from Cuba, but obviously still not widely accepted because of Cuba's stigma and sanctions. Med student and epidemiologist, thank you for informing. I didn't know that. I thought it was only in Canada where they are doing test trials right now. It is crazy, though, don't you think? That there literally some of this stuff has to be in secrecy. Because if there's if this comes to the forefront of the conversation, all of a sudden it makes people reconsider this, the way that the system works. And then they go, whoa, hold on. We got to put a stop to it. It's just, I can go on for days, by the way. I can go on for hours upon hours. There's a lot of medical researchers in my community as well. There's a lot of researchers in general. And I know many of you hear this stuff and you see this stuff and you think, this is ridiculous. Like, your allegiance to the academics in Cuba matters, okay? That's another thing that I found out. Talking to the doctors, talking to the professionals, talking to the academics in Cuba, where they rely on the kindness of strangers that live in America and elsewhere all around the world in order to keep things going, right? First ever computer, again, that Dr. Mitchell told me, the first ever computer that Cuba ever received was from an American doctor in New York. So people need to be brave, is what I mean. People need to be brave and not have to worry about, like American setbacks. We have to be an unshakable, undeniable force for good. Yeah, I mean, this was funny. Hasan's $690 button-down shirt alone can feed a family of 4 in Cuba for about a year. Damn, he should go to Cuba and give them money. Yeah, it's so strange. It's strange that, I mean, it makes sense that this propaganda works on the hogs, too. Like, I get it. When people are like, but what about the optics? It's like, the do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm literally in Cuba. You know, I'm in Cuba. Unbelievable. You should have went shirtless. True. Anyway, why do you give these hogs the time of day? Because this kind of propaganda, unfortunately, has the capacity to muddy the waters. Okay, when the goal here is to obviously talk about the plight of everyday Cubans and talk about the impact of the blockade, the people that want to change the conversation, back to like the government, will then disparage and belittle everyone that's like going out there to do whatever they can to help. It's a lesson that they want to teach everyone. If you do this, we will humiliate you. Okay, and some people actually do get worried, right? They don't want to get yelled at or whatever, right? For one reason or another. It's ridiculous. But yeah, there's a lot of I love Cuba but going on right now. It's good. That means they're losing it. That means they're losing the argument. Okay? When they have to back away from this, when they have to concede on the grounds that they are like that the blockade is having a tremendous impact. That means that the conversation is shifting. Because a lot of you are probably unfamiliar with this process, but for many, many years, the invisibility of the blockade and the sanctions regime unironically made it much easier for these people to say, there's no blockade. People can do trade with Cuba. There's American goods on Cuban shelves. How could you say there's a blockade? There's American hotels. So like, that was the whole point, right? That was the entire point. But now it's undeniable because Donald Trump is so vulgar and so open about his cruelty. So these guys can't say that there's no blockade. So they have to say instead, well, there's a blockade, but it's the government still. Okay? It's the government. It's pure moral bankruptcy. But yeah, it also drowns out this. You at least have video showing the aid you all gave away, right? What people are saying seems like the negative stuff is just plastered. Yes. It also has it also completely dominates the conversation. I mean, here, this is another example, right? Cubans are regular people. Cubans are regular ass people. They enjoy music. They want to go to a concert. They want to live their lives in spite of the ridiculous blockade, right? In spite of the blockade. This is the Kneecap Boys participating in a public free concert that was put together for Cuban artists, okay? And they were like, oh, we're here. Let's do it. We'll also participate in this concert. So they also gave a free performance for every Cuban that was in attendance. Okay? And these people, and this concert is just mostly Cubans, right? Like it's just, a lot of people were like, oh, they did a concert for just like the wealthy tourists or whatever. No, it's just mostly Cubans. You idiot. Even this guy, Diego de la Vega, Team AOC Comms alumni. Did you guys think a concert admitted blackout was optics for this little trip? The concert was a part of a free public spring festival that was there were tons of Cuban families there, and it was cut short because of the blackout. Any more questions, says Ida Chavez, who was there. The other aspect of the tourism industry that a lot of people don't understand, the other aspect of the tourism industry is that, like, they'll be like, wow, look at, like, the only, all the powers being routed to the tourism sector. And it's like, brother, American blockades have made it impossible to engage in any sort of real exports from the island. And it has made it so that tourism is the only way that foreign dollars can come into the island itself. Okay? It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is literally the only way that the island can survive. Is the only way that they can get any money from the outside. They can't engage in banking because in the international financial system, here, I'll give you another example because I have examples for days, a million of these examples. Yanis Varoufakis talks about this, calls it techno-feudalism. PayPal and Venmo are American payment processors. And because of the American government's sanctions on Cuba, if you are a Greek citizen, okay, talking to an Italian citizen, and you go out to dinner, you order Cuba Libre, okay, and you pay for it on PayPal, and you write Cuba Libre on the PayPal or on the Venmo transaction, both of your accounts will get banned. Both of your accounts will get banned. How is that normal? I have stories of people having Swiss bank accounts. Like Switzerland is supposed to be the most neutral country on the planet. Swiss bank accounts get shut down because they are, trying to deliver aid or payments to Cubans. Yeah. If you put Cuba on a wire transaction, they close your whole account at Chase. Used to deal with it all the time as a translator over the phone. Yeah. How insane. You've never heard of this before. You never knew about this. One must ask the question, why you've never heard about this? How unbelievable. My read on why some critics are mocking people like you right now is because A, they're attempting to discourage acts of kindness and resistance, and B, some people have given into hopelessness and reactionary suicide at one point or another and project their ineffectiveness as a sense of futility onto those that try to do anything. Yeah. The Cuban government cannot open up bank accounts. They cannot get loans to start businesses. They cannot export their products. How can anyone live in this process? It's an island nation. It's virtually impossible for them to be self-sustaining in general. I got banned on Venmo about a decade ago, paying someone back after getting Cuban food together, and I put balling out in Cuba food as the memo, lol. Yeah, I honestly think they just dislike anything you do. I mean, there's a piece of that too. I work in fintech, and anytime there's Cuba in a transfer purpose, it's immediately flagged and stopped for sanctions. Yeah, unfucking believable. There are some ways to deliver aid to Cuba, but the most effective way to do it is by literally going and delivering it personally. And when you do that, people yell at you and try to bully you and try to ridicule you. This is the problem.